is going to be Al's last year that he really has to organize anything for Forestry Field Day, and I'm going to miss him a ton. But Al is retiring at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, and this was Al's dream. And forestry education Al is so passionate about, and everything you see here he built or had the idea to build. And one year there's actually a bench that you can see just down the hill there, and we did that probably about 10 years ago or so, and we were wondering what to name it, and the memorial bench came up, but I said, I think you have to be dead before there's a memorial bench. But Al, I'm going off script just a little bit, and Denny's gonna come up, and we've got a presentation for Al here. So, Al, thanks for everything you've done.
You can go sit down now. Really, you can go sit down. Hey, it's good to see you all here. This is a fun day for all of us that put this on, because a lot of times this is the only time we get to see some of you guys. So thanks for coming. But it is my privilege to honor one of our own today. Most of you know Al, but for those of you who don't, let me tell you a few things about him. He's been with Kretz Lumber Company for some 30 years, which is a feat in itself. I mean, not many people work in one place for that long. It's a long time, right, Al? During that time, Albert has been in charge of multiple foresters, loggers, truckers, while dealing with hundreds of forest landowners like yourself. And it's easily hundreds. Albert's always been a dedicated steward of the timber resource, and he is very passionate about it. He's always had his priorities straight. God was number one. And two, his family was number two. And Mary, you're here somewhere. Beth, Lindsay, Michael's over carving. I don't know if he's still carving, but he's here as well. So thanks for sharing your dad and your husband with us for so long.
How about Beth?
Beth. Didn't I say Beth?
No.
I said Beth. Thanks, Beth. Don't mess me up, Troy. Now I lost my spot. So really, number three being chips. You know, Al was always into potato chips, nacho chips, corn chips. Didn't matter what kind of chips. That was number three. No, really, his responsibility, his job was number three. For those of you that worked with him, you'll know how passionate he is about this job, and he really goes out of his way for it. Albert fought his whole career, always trying to do what was right. He's worked many years with the Silvicultural Guidance Committee. He's always promoting good, sound forestry here in Wisconsin. Albert started out Forestry Field Day back in the early 90s, knowing the importance of working with you landowners on a long-term basis, because growing trees, as you all know, takes a long time. But being around 30-some years, you get to reap the benefits of that. I mean, Al's been in the same woods a number of times over, and each time it gets better. That's the whole idea of it. Does anybody remember the first Forestry Field Day? Anybody here that was there? What was that like?
It was
Okay.
it was well attended, and it was pretty good weather too. It was maybe a little bit bigger than what you got here today, but it was very good.
Good. Our tent definitely got bigger, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It started in an old army tent that Al would take out west hunting, and that's what we used. So Al, if you want to join me up here. Woo!
You can tell me to sit down.
No, but you didn't listen.
Hey, Al!
So Al, we'd like to offer this plaque to you as a thank you. I'm going to read what it says on here. This was written by, it's a quote from Aldo Leopold. Some of you know who he was. He was a naturalist from Wisconsin here. This is a quote that he came up with. It says, I have read many definitions of what it is to be a conservationist and written not a few myself. But I suspect that the best one is written not with a pen, but with an axe. It is a matter of what a man thinks about while chopping or while deciding what to chop. A conservationist is one who is humbly aware that with each stroke, he is writing his signature on the face of the land. Now, Al didn't use an axe too often. It's kind of dangerous to put an axe in Al's hand. But he did use a paint gun for many, many years and made decisions about thousands and thousands of trees when they needed to come out or if they needed to stay and get better. So Al, you've done an awesome job in that. And we'd like to offer this plaque to you as a dedication. That's what it said. How am I doing? Short and sweet. Okay, so Albert's retiring at the end of the year, like I said, and we're all going to miss him, and it hasn't hit us yet. But I'm happy to announce that we did find a replacement for Al. Nathan, are you here somewhere? Did you show up? That's Nathan back there, Nathan Gilbert and his wife Lisa. If you get a chance to meet him today, please do so. I'm going to close here shortly. Albert, you've been much more than a boss and a co-worker. You've been an awesome friend, and you've been an inspiration to all of us that have worked with you. So thank you very much, and we'll miss you. But say hi to him today. I think Charlie was going to come up and tell a little story.
It's not even work when you talk to this guy every day. It's not work. It's like hanging out with a chum every day, you know. I just look at the size comparison between the two of us. Okay, check the inseams out. No comparison. So anyway, I don't know what you want to call them, but one day duty called. We had to cruise some timber up north. I'm from the UP, and we got about 2.5 feet of snow that day, and we made the commitment to go and make an attempt to cruise the timber. But again, look at the inseam. Who do you think had a break trail with the snowshoes? Really? This big drink? No. But anyway, it was good. It's like I miss seeing you around here, Al. We'll see. Keep in touch. Look forward to working with Nathan. So just good stuff all the way around, you guys. Thanks, Al.
Thank you both, Charlie and Dennis. And I've been here 32 years because my daughter was 3 weeks old when I started. So as long as I can remember how old she is, I can remember how long I've been here. I didn't have co-workers, I had brothers that I worked with. And well, dang it, I thought I was going to choke up during the Star Spangled Banner. Now I didn't want to do this.
Talk into the mic.
Okay. But the foresters I worked with, they were my brothers, not co-workers. And every one of them are just as dedicated and good honest people, and I really, really enjoyed them over the years. So I guess I'd like to see them get a round of applause too, because they've worked very hard. My mentor Dan Kretz showed up, and Dan was a great man. He taught me many things, and he made this place successful. He always gave the foresters the leeway to go ahead and run the programs we wanted to run. So he was also very instrumental in being the reason I was around for 32 years. So anyway,
I have the same inseam that Charlie
if you get a chance, you can ask Dan what I used to do to him when we were cruising timber together. Also this morning, so we keep the program running, I'd like to introduce two of our landowners that we're honoring today that are very dedicated to the forestry world and taking care of their property. One of the gentlemen with the gray beard over there, Gene, can you raise your hand, Gene? Okay, Gene Miller. His family has been on that property for 5 generations. And 1868, if I got that right, Gene? Close, okay. And he's got some neat things over there on display, so get a chance this morning, stop over and see Gene. To Gene's right, in the green shirt, is Andy Mary. Andy Mary's a good neighbor of ours. Some of our other field days, we had the hayride. And we used Andy's property for demonstrating many things, and he's got a very unique piece of property. Some neat glacial things happened out there, and a real interesting story about how his family acquired the property. So when you get a chance this morning, wander by and talk to those two gentlemen and learn some kind of neat stuff. Now with that, I guess Troy, where are you at? I guess we'll turn it over, and Troy's going to start the program. Thank you.
From time to time in your working career, you get to you develop relationships with people, and this industry is so small that we all work together, and we're happy to have two really special guests here this morning from the Wisconsin DNR, our Chief State Forester Fred Schoba, and Heather Birkland, who is our Forestry Field Operations Deputy. Were kind enough to come and share their morning with us and with you, and they're going to go through some really neat things that are happening in the Wisconsin DNR. So Fred, Heather, and from here you don't have to listen to Al and I anymore, because we're going to have Scott Bovey moderate, and Scott, thanks for coming and helping us out again.
Thanks, Troy. I appreciate the introduction. You know, and I can add too, I'm a professor down at UW-Madison, the forestry department. Kretz Lumber has always bent over backwards when we need help with our students. For example, Al or Troy, I just give them a call if I want to go through the mill, or if we want Al to give some demos on logs and veneer grading, that sort of thing. They're always there to help the community, and they help our students. So really appreciate that type of commitment from companies like that in the forest industry. So with that, I think we should turn it right over to Fred and Heather and let them have the floor.
Thanks, Scott. Well, it's a real pleasure to be here. I started my career as a private landowner forester, and we had a tree farm day. I used to work for the Kretz Papers, and this is the first time I've been to something like this since I left Nakusa as a tree farm day. But this seems more like a family reunion than it seems like a tree farm day. So it's a real pleasure to be here, and Heather and I like to share some things of what's going on in the division. What I'd like to start out with is I'm relatively new as a Chief State Forester. I'd like to give you a little bit about my background and then get into some of the things we're doing. So I've been with the division a little less than 2 years. I came from the private sector. I've never worked in a public agency before. So there was a lot of changes and differences on both sides of the table. The DNR getting to know me and me getting to know them. I had the opportunity to work with many of them, however, in the private sector, so I knew a lot of familiar faces. So I started out with the Kretz Papers, working with private landowners, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Then worked on private land management, wood procurement. Then went to work for Johnson Timber in Hayward, lived up there for 10 years. Got my taste of manufacturing, making bulk sticks into chips, which really tripped my trigger. I really love to see things made out of wood. So that was really getting exposed to manufacturing. Then came back to work for Consolidated. Then they were purchased by Stora Enso. Had an opportunity to do some work across the pond, Finland, Sweden, Brazil, Portugal, and that was very interesting. And then stayed with them until NewPage bought them, and then left my corporate job in about 2013. Did a little consulting work, and then this opportunity came along. And I must say it's been really a pleasure to be part of the DNR. It's a privilege to be the Chief State Forester. And I tell all the people I talk about that this is, the people here in the DNR have been so gracious to me. Coming from the outside, I thought they were thinking I was going to clear cut the woods from one side of the state to the other, but they have been so supportive, so engaging, and so helpful in my new role. So I greatly appreciate that. My leadership team's been phenomenal, helping me understand how the process works, and supporting me also in some of the things we're trying to work on. So I really appreciate that. So let's get into a little bit about